Okay, we're back to Facebook Live. We were having some technical difficulties. That has never happened. The video froze, and all of my other Facebook Lives at 11 in the morning on Monday seemed to not freeze, but for some reason tonight it did. So hopefully folks are joining us again back here on Facebook Live, resolving our technical issues. The Facebook Live site crashed and I had to reload it. So hopefully people are joining us, and if you had some comments before, I didn't see them because they started again. Everybody's joining back quickly. Thank you for being back on and joining us here for our special edition of Facebook Live on Thursday evening. We usually do this on Monday mornings, but we're doing a special edition tonight on Thursday evening. We're going to be posting in our chat. Yes, Maria, third time's a charm. And Catherine, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Third time's a charm. I think people can see us now, and hopefully it won't freeze again. Thank you for being patient with that and for joining back in. I was just reading a couple of really nice comments from folks right before I lost the connection. So if you had a comment, please post it again. Hi, Laura, nice to see you. You said thank you to me for all I do for the students. I want to say thank you to you, Laura. One of our great teachers has joined us. If you're just joining us or joining back in, we had technical difficulties at the beginning, but I'm glad everybody's back and able to join. Thank you. Amy's got her fingers crossed. Thank you. We have translation, simultaneous translation available tonight. So if you speak Spanish and you would like translation, you can call in to this phone number. We're going to post it in the chat as well. The phone number is 619-350-6084. And there's a PIN number you enter, 85846, and we'll be posting that in the chat as well. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. It's nice to have you all here. Welcome to all of our San Diego Unified family, our families, our students. I see staff members joining us. Today we're going to share our wonderful resources that we have to offer to our Latinx families. And joining us today, I think in the comments section, I hope Dr. Villegas has joined back in, but I have a special guest with us tonight, is our Dr. Villegas, our Instructional Support Officer with Integrated Youth Services. She's going to be participating via the chat section. Let's make sure she can join in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's nice to have you here. Thank you. Hopefully we didn't freeze again. Gustavo, thanks for joining. It's very good to have you here. Georgette Smith says hello. Again, if you need translation, you can dial into the translation department. I'm waiting for Dr. Villegas to join us and post over in the chat section. I think she may not have joined yet. Waiting for her to join back in and add some comments in the chat, but Dr. Villegas is our Instructional Support Officer with Integrated Youth Services Division, and she's going to be participating tonight, answering any questions that you have, along with other staff that's helping join in the chat. Noemi's been a part of our team that's organized our Parents as Partners Zoom workshops, and we've had to engage our parents in their child's education during distance learning. And then if you didn't join, we had a session yesterday, and our next one will be on June 3rd. June 3rd, there's two sessions, one at 10 a.m. and one at 6:30 p.m. And we have Spanish translation available for that Parents as Partners Zoom workshop. We had almost 200 parents join yesterday in the morning session, then again in the afternoon session, and the next one's on June 3rd. And there's really great learning there. It's just so inspiring to see all of our parents join us there. So a lot of the questions that have been asked on previous chats with me are in our FAQ section, and we just keep updating that on our website. It's been translated into Spanish. We'll share the link to that information also in the comments section. So as many of you know, our Latinx students make up our largest student population group in San Diego Unified. So that's why we decided tonight to hold a special installment of Facebook Live to share just some of the resources our district offers, especially to our Latinx families. So we know we had a lot of people to join in. Dr. Villegas, you're back. Thank you. She just told me she's back and she's in the chat. It's nice to have you here. She'll be posting comments. And if you haven't checked out our website and the resources we have for our Latinx families, they're all available to you. And it looks like we're good to go. It's nice to have everybody joining us. Marina Alvarez, hi, nice to see you joining us. I'm going to try to catch back up to the chat over there. Amy, your fingers crossed that this is working. Hi, Aurora, nice to see you. And it's good to have everybody joining us. And of course, people want to know, the big question that's out there is what's going to happen? How are we going to be? What's going to be happening in the fall? Where are we now with distance learning, and what's the future going to look like? And I know everybody, that's front of mind to so many people, and our plans are very much dependent on the health guidelines, and new guidelines will be coming out from the health office in Sacramento at the state level, and those guidelines then get translated to the local level, and understanding what those health guidelines are is really important, that we understand what's required for social distancing, what the medical professionals are saying. We have to listen to and follow that guidance that will both come from, at the state level, the health officials, and also the California Department of Education, with guidelines and guidance about how to address the opening of the school year and have an approach that's going to work within the health guidelines. The other thing that's important is the funding, and you've heard us say loud and clear that this is a time for there to be more investment in education, not less investment. And we need more money, not less money. And the governor's May revise definitely was a cut to education, but there's still work to be done. They're still working that out at the state level. June 15th, we'll see a state budget adoption. And we heard some promising news today that they're hearing our message from San Diego loud and clear, that when you're talking about what's necessary to open our schools and open safely, when you think about the requirements for social distancing, when you can't have gatherings larger than 10, and you have to have people with be 6 feet apart, and you need masks, and you need extra cleaning, we have to think and plan for the custodial support that will be needed, and the nursing support and the counseling support, because our students have been through very difficult times. And when we are able to be together physically, we need the health guidelines to be followed, and we need to be able to have support for social emotional needs that our students will have. So those are all questions. There's still a long runway. There's still lots to happen between now and the final decisions, and we're following the guidelines, which they're saying next week. There'll be new guidelines coming out at the state level from the state health authority, and there'll also be new guidelines coming from the California Department of Education, and those guidelines, everybody's having to follow those. When you think about the businesses around us in the city that are opening and figuring out the rules for opening and what needs to be posted, and when churches and places of worship are figuring out their rules that they have to follow for opening, will schools have the same kinds of things that will be described at the state level that we need to follow. So we're watching all of that carefully, and we're not waiting for that to happen. We have to develop plans and think about how to be most successful in providing our learning to our students. So Marceline, I see you joined us. Hi, Marceline from Enrollment Options. You're doing a fabulous job with enrollment. And Gigi is here again. I think you made it back. Nice to see you, Gigi. Thank you for joining. Maria Lopez Barlow joined us, and she's thankful for so many great teachers. We have too many to list right now, but thankful for all of them. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's really nice. Marina Alvarez, nice to see you. You said hi, trying to catch up. Robin, you said thanks for doing these. This is a way that we can connect, and until we can be in person physically and have the kinds of meetings that we have at our schools, we're connecting in this way. And I can see the San Diego Unified family, all the different ways that we're connecting and taking care of one another and making sure we're checking in on each other. I've heard such inspirational stories about families, how they connect with each other, and teachers, making sure kids are doing okay. So this is how we connect today. It's nice to see Dr. Macquarie, one of our board trustees, has joined. Hello, Dr. Mike, nice to have you here. And Helena was pointing out that this is why distance learning is difficult. We had some technical challenges, and that's absolutely true. That when you do have technical challenges, we did a restart and we got back on board. So here we are working. Patty, thank you for joining. OB Elementary parent, and you're from MCAS Miramar School. Good to have you. Kathy from OB Elementary, nice to have you. It's one of our fabulous early learning teachers. It's good to have Kathy joining, just doing great work with her students in a distance learning format. And Robin, wanting to know more information about the future, and there's a lot of decisions left to be made. There's a lot of runway left, and we don't have any final answers on certain questions at this point. let's see, I'm still scrolling down. I see Noemi has joined us to answer questions. Jennifer, I think, did you find the link that you needed? Kathy, thank you for saying we're doing an amazing job as a district. This is a whole team effort. Aurora, as a parent of a junior at San Diego High International Studies, I hope your student's doing well. Jean, thanks for joining. Dr. Mike joined again. Nice to see you, Dr. Mike. Nico says, thank you for your wonderful leadership. When will we be reviewing the San Diego Unified Framework for the 2021 school year? Yes, Nico, that's we have a board workshop planned on June 16th where we'll begin to talk about that. And like I said a few minutes ago, there's a lot of unknowns, but we can plan for some of the possible options, and we're looking at countrywide, other countries that have taught us some good lessons, and our plans for going forward do depend on some of what the current guidelines are, but we still will be able to talk about what types of blended model might be needed for our students to be able to continue learning. The fact of the matter is that we know we have some students that are medically fragile, that it would be very dangerous for them to go back to an environment where they could be exposed, and students like that may need to stay in distance learning longer, and we want to make sure they have the support for that distance learning to be as successful as possible. And we have some students that are ready to come back, but they want to make sure that it's safe. We have parents we know that need to get back to work, and so we want to have the learning conditions at the schools so that kids can get back and follow those health guidelines. But we'll start talking about some of the models at our June 16th board workshop. So you can join there. And I see that we've posted some more links. Some of the questions that I'm not answering, we have several staff members that are answering the chat room. So if I miss something, we'll be answering them live. And I answer these questions during this 30 minutes that we have together this evening. So I appreciate that. Somebody's saying something. Thank you to Miss Falby for going the extra mile. I think someone's giving a compliment to one of our teachers, unless I missed that. Let's see, Deborah Fine, you said you're a parent of a freshman at the School of Creative and Performing Arts, and you're a high school science teacher. Nice to have you join us. And I see my friend Robert has joined from Colorado. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining. It's good to have you all the way from Colorado. I hear Colorado is doing great things too over in Denver, and Denver's doing some good work as well. And thanks for what you do, Robert. You're a frontline worker, and we appreciate what you do. Nice to have you joining us tonight. Patty is replying to Marceline saying thanks for her help today. Marceline, you're so much about quality customer service, and you're getting a shout out from somebody on the chat room over here. And Maria is saying she appreciates the time and the effort to help keep our kids safe, especially those medically fragile kiddos. And I want to also say, besides the students who might not feel comfortable or safe based on what their doctors are saying to come back to school, we also have adults and some of our staff members who are in the medically fragile category, and it might be difficult for them as well. So we need to think about planning for that for all of our employees and for our students, and to follow the science, follow the best health guidelines and the restrictions and rules that are out there for the betterment and the safety of the health of our community. It's just so important. Elizabeth, you're asking if San Diego Unified is going to incorporate distance learning for next year. What I just said about students that may not be able to come back to a physical setting for learning, they might not be able to come back until, some of them are saying, until there's a vaccine. So we would incorporate distance learning so that they can continue that for a while. So I think that's really important for those that will need that. And I see that some questions are wanting to have more specifics, get really concrete, tell us what it's going to be, when it's going to happen. And those are conversations that we're going to have at our June 16th board workshop. And we're also making sure that we're talking to people. We get a lot of feedback from tonight's session. This is really helpful to hear that, the feedback that we're hearing from folks. And when you think about the state budget cutting us by 10% and having an increase of up to 20% of our expenses, we need to make sure that we're making those decisions within the guidelines and the finances that we have. So Sabrina, it's nice to see you on here. I like to see that. Sabrina, I have something to share with you later, something that you shared with me a couple years ago. I'm going to send that to you later this evening. It's good to have you here, Sabrina. Appreciate it. We're working definitely. Thomas, nice to see you. You said hello. Jean, you said thank you. This helps so much. Jennifer Andrews, hi, nice to see you. I grew up with Jennifer, and she said, appreciate all you do for San Diego Unified. I think that's the Jennifer Andrews that I grew up with. That was my neighbor. We went to Mann Middle School together. Michelle, thank you. You said, can you tell what you're planning and now for what you know for sure? Well, what we're planning for is starting school on August 31st. That's when we plan to start. We have not changed the start date, but what that looks like, what the start of school looks like, does depend on the health guidelines. And will there be a blended model where some students are in distance learning and some are able to come physically? And when they do come to school physically, what will that look like? And how do we make sure that they're separated with the 6 feet apart? What will lunchrooms look like? What will the cleaning protocols look like? Those are the guidelines that are coming out from the CDE, and that we'll be continuing to have conversations with all of our stakeholders as we develop these plans. And yes, distance learning will be a part of next year, as somebody just asked, because we know distance learning is going to be necessary for people, for some adults and for some students. So that's being asked over and over again. Sarah, I see that you're saying you don't need final answers. You need to know what we're considering, and I've just described all of the things that we're considering and more. So we're continuing with stakeholder engagement next week. We have meetings with SDEA and AASD. Adonis, nice to see you. You said thanks for your leadership, Adonis. We have some meetings with your team next week and with SDEA as well. So it's good to see you here tonight. And Maria, you said, can you at least tell us what you're considering? June 16th, do you have a deadline for yourselves? Well, June 16th, we're developing the plans to bring on June 16th, and I just went over some of the things that we are considering going forward. And remember, there's lots of good lessons from other countries of what people have done and what we've learned from other countries that have started to open their schools. And some of the lessons that have been learned there. Merle, thank you for joining. You said good leadership and super awesome superintendent. Thank you so much. Nice to see you, Merle. I don't know if I've met you before. If I have, it's good to see you again here. Elizabeth Vallejo, our all teachers are most coming back from next year. The news is saying that 1 out of 5 are not coming back. I don't know where that came from. That must be a survey or something that somebody did. I think that might have been a U.S. Today, U.S. News World Report or something where that came from, but that's not something I've heard where that came from. Let's see. I have more comments and questions. Appreciate everybody for joining here today. Jennifer, it's nice to have you joining. You're asking if what we're discussing, and I'm looking in the chat room and answering some questions that people are sharing with us here. And the medically, physically challenged teacher here from Lincoln, you're bringing up the point that you want to have a smooth transition back to school in the fall. We all want that as well, and how important that is for our students to get back and to have the help that they need. That is so important. We have Angelica, a parent from Audubon. And you know what I know is that people want certainty. They want final answers. They want to know exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and it's not just with public education and San Diego Unified, it's across the country as we're following the guidelines and staying safe as we're able to do this along the way. Erica, it's good to have you join us today. Appreciate that. Michael or Michelle, thank you for joining. Eric Parker. Eric Parker wants to say that he's concerned that we don't know what's happening and that we don't have a clue. I'd invite people to join us for our board workshop coming up on June 16th, where we will talk about that. And I encourage you to engage at your school and engage with your principal, talk to people and give your input and have the conversations that matter. Some people are worried about the vaccine. Will that be mandatory or will that not be mandatory? Again, it's the science and it's the health guidelines that we'll be required to follow. And Chris mentioned that the home hospital learning is a great San Diego Unified program to model after to support students who are vulnerable. Chris, I'm glad you talked about when your child was receiving chemotherapy treatment, that this program and that everyone in the IEP team ensured that she was able to finish 6th grade and was able to seamlessly return to the classroom. Chris, first of all, thank you for your comment and for talking about your experience. I hope that your child is doing well now. And I appreciate that you were able to explain an experience that you've had. And that's one of the things that we're learning about, is the kinds of experiences that our kids have had, whether they've been in our home hospital program, they've been in our iHigh program, in our Mount Everest program. We have experiences of our kids learning in different settings and how those settings have been helpful to them. And those experiences help us design what we're going to need for the fall so that we can have positive learning experiences going forward. Folks are asking about sports, what's going to happen with school sports. I know the CIF is also not sure. They don't have the final guidelines put out yet for the sports as well. And so we're waiting for that to be figured out, and more guidance will be coming from them as well. We know sports matter to our students, and it's a big connection, but some of even the professional sports teams are not playing yet. So there's still more to come. So Aurora wants to know if there will be, if fall school will be in person. And again, we're planning to start when our regular start date is on August 31st. And the degree of in-person learning with social distancing and some distance learning in a blended model is all being worked out in the weeks ahead. And keep tuning in live here and also to our workshops, and we'll keep giving you information as soon as we have that available. And I know Carlin is interested in getting back to work quickly, so that's good. Thank you. Nice to see you, Carlin. I'm continuing to scroll quickly. I do want to say, if you have not logged in and you don't have the connection to the translation services and other services there, you're welcome to join there and get the translation. And we will be back here also next Monday at 11 o'clock for Facebook Live. And I usually do it every Monday, but this Monday we weren't here. I want to say thank you to Dr. Villegas and all of her hardworking staff in Integrated Youth Services. Our team is going to answer the questions that you were posted during this 30-minute time frame. And towards the end of the event, if we didn't get a question, anything that goes up until our 30 minutes, we'll make sure to answer everything. I see I have 176 comments, and we'll make sure to get back and answer any ones that we haven't. But let me end tonight by just saying that I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate the time that you're taking to log in, to watch, to be a part of this, to be engaged, to show that you care about our schools, you care about one another. And I know that this district and the family that we are is strong, and that we will do this work together, and that we'll continue to care for one another. We'll check in on one another. If you know somebody who you think is alone right now by themselves, you haven't talked to them for a while, check in on them, give them a call. Or somebody who you know is in a stressful situation, maybe they have somebody who's sick or somebody that they're caring for. Have you called somebody lately? What kinds of practices, what kinds of things have you done during this time? I mean, I have my chart over here. It's 76 days that we've been in this situation. And in these 76 days, how have you chosen to spend your time? How have you chosen to care for yourself? How have you chosen to care for your family and your loved ones? How have you chosen to care for somebody you don't know? Maybe a stranger or somebody that you met once, and you're going to send them a postcard or a nice note, or send them something that shows that you care about them. I think that really matters. And I'm hearing people have started new practices. I've started a new practice. I've always had a daily gratitude practice of taking care of finding something that I think is beautiful every day. I've added to my practice of every day I make sure I write a note to somebody, a handwritten note, and I send it. What kinds of practices are you doing for yourself and for your family, so that a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you look back at this time and you think, and you can reflect on, how did you choose to spend this time? Did you spend the time wisely? Did you contribute and make a positive difference in your community, make a positive difference in yourself, and do what you can? Do what you can with what you have, where you are, and some of the things that are beyond what you can control, can you put those aside and pay attention to what you can control, and take good care of one another while we take good care of our students and of our community. And I want to hear your stories. I want to hear how you've cared for one another, how you've showed that you've been kind to one another, that you've reached out to people that need reaching out to, because at the end of the day, that's what we have. We have one another, and we can show that in ways we can show and act from our highest and best self, or we can act out of fear and from our lowest and our worst self. And I encourage everybody to connect and take good care of one another, and appreciate all of you, appreciate our families, our Latinx families especially. If you have not been to our website to see some of the resources that we've developed specifically for you, the things that have been translated, the things that are ready for you, ready for your ability to get access to them through our website, but also through translation services through your teachers. Your teachers have been wonderful, your school principal. We just appreciate all of you. And I want to say thank you to everybody for joining. I know it's getting close to dinner time, or maybe some of you are eating dinner while you're watching, but I just appreciate everybody very much. And whatever questions I didn't quite get to, we will make sure that we get back to you and answer your questions, the ones that have come through tonight on Facebook Live. It's nice to see everybody, and we will talk soon. Thank you for all the love. I'm sorry if I missed so many questions that came in really quickly, but appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.